Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us on this special day to celebrate women worldwide. My name is Oluchi Gloria Obu, and I am the Public Engagement Specialist at MCIC, which is the Manitoba Council for International Cooperation. On behalf of MCIC, I would like to welcome you to today's International Women's Day panel conversation. For those new to MCIC, we are a coalition of 44 organizations working in international cooperation worldwide. MCIC supports, connects, and amplifies the work of our members and partners. We also collaborate with Manitobans for global sustainability and raise awareness of the Sustainable Development Goals. This event is sponsored in part by funding from Global Affairs Canada, and we're grateful for their support. I'm hosting this event from Winnipeg, which is on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of many Indigenous communities, including the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We're grateful for the opportunity to host this event. Today, we're talking about menstrual health and social change. Menstrual health encompasses physical, mental, and social well-being. This includes having safe environments and access to adequate information in relation to the menstrual cycle. However, in many communities worldwide, women and girls face discrimination and marginalization due to their menstrual periods. Although this is a natural process, the stigmatization of menstruation limits women and girls' participation in everyday life. So period poverty is a global problem. It's not just limited to one community or one region of the world. And today's conversation centers on ongoing activism to educate and raise awareness about menstrual health challenges. Our panelists today are joining us from different parts of the world, and I'm going to start from Guatemala. Laura Ortiz is a program manager and social psychologist with a background in inclusive classrooms and special education. She's deeply committed to the education and empowerment of youth and began her professional journey as a preschool teacher before specializing as a special education teacher. Laura has also received training on integral education in sexuality, human rights, international framework for gender equality and equity, economic empowerment of women, feminism, and popular education. Laura joined the Canadian Humanitarians supported by Serenina in 2021 to lead their curriculum development and to support all Serenina's programs for girls. Our second panelist today is Isabelle O'Brien. She's a grade 10 student at College Jean Sauvé in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Her favorite subjects in school include math and science, and her favorite things to do outside of school are reading, cooking, and swimming. She's looking forward to this opportunity to have this conversation and create social change when it comes to menstruation and how it's being addressed globally. Lloyd Crockford is also a grade 10 student at the same college, the same school with Isabelle in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Her favorite subjects in school are science and English. She also enjoys being part of our school's choir and participating in this year's musical. She's very excited to be joining us today to have this conversation, very much needed conversation. And our last panelist is joining us all the way from Zimbabwe. Her name is Juliana Dliwayo. She teaches at Maranatha Christian School in Kardoma, Zimbabwe. She's a hostel parent in charge of 36 girls from ages 12 to 18. Juliana has been a teacher for 32 years, working at different schools under the Zimbabwe Ministry of Education. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Zimbabwe, where she majored in English and communication. She also has a certificate in teacher education community. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm so excited to have you here. So today's panel discussion is going to take the form of a conversation. So this means that I'm going to ask the same question of each of you. So you all take your turn to answer the question. So my first question is I would like you to tell us and our attendees about yourself and also what has led you to do the work that you do. So I will start with Laura.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here and talk about a little bit of me and all my work. So first of all, I want to share that here in Guatemala, we are commemorating women, and there are plenty of women marching in the streets. And we are reminding the Guatemalan government that they should protect our rights and defend us from the violence. So as Oluchi said, my name is Laura. I'm a woman, daughter, sister, feminist, friend, student, psychologist, and a teacher. So 4 years ago, I joined the feminist movement, and I started to being conscious about the oppression that women go through and make us vulnerable and victims of many types of violence, like economical, legal, sexual, psychological. And also I was born in Guatemala, and it's some of places that have a lot of violence. And well, my history on my work started when I was a teenager. I was 13 years old, and in my family, menstruation was treated like something secret or something like that, and exclusive, like for mother and daughter, and we can talk about that. So when I menstruate for the first time, I wasn't a kid anymore, but I was afraid and I was ashamed and confused about that. So during that phase, no one explained me why I was bleeding, and I didn't know the objective of menstruation. So for that moment, I just knew that I should take care of me, and I start to ask some questions, and sorry. And I remember that I was like hiding to my mom and my dad about this. So in my family, we didn't mention words like menstruation, blood, vagina, vulva, all these words. So I understood that it was a cycle, that it meant health and changes. So then I accept that I must know myself, and I have to make some questions about myself and love myself. And it wasn't easy. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I think like it was a beautiful like phase. And then my history on Ser Niña, I start like a teacher, and being on Ser Niña allowed me to accompany many girls, teenagers and young women in recognizing menstruation. And we share like about cycles and its relationship with the moon. Like here in Guatemala, Mayan women think about that females have a connection, a certain connection with the moon and its cycles. And that's why we're magical and we're healthy. So that's like a little bit of my story.
Thank you so much, Laura. That's very insightful. And you did touch on, some of the things we'll be talking about today. So thank you. And so I would like to invite Juliana to tell us a bit about herself and the work that she does.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juliana Shiwayo. I will be turning 57 years old this year. I'll be turning 57. I'm a mother of daughters, 4 of them. And that means I had to go through menses for the first time. At first it was mine, then my 4 daughters, all of them, I had to educate them. I'm also a widow. I became a widow when in the year that I turned 48. I'm a teacher by profession, and I have been teaching in various communities in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a very beautiful country. I've taught in farms, in rural areas, and currently in the urban area. I'm also an author of women's books in our church. This is one of the books. I've authored one book. There is my photo. It is on empowerment of women in our church. It talks about menstruation as well in the topics. I'm a hostel parent, as you have heard, at my workplace. I'm in charge of 36 girls whose ages are from 12 up to 18. My late husband was a bishop of an indigenous church in Zimbabwe. It is one of the biggest churches in Zimbabwe. So it means we were in charge of a province, or we are still in charge of a province. So I had to take care of women's business or women's activities. That means I had to look into their health, into their economic part, and I'm still looking into it, but though at a lower length, but with the young ladies, I'm still very active in that. I also teach them some information about menstruation, hygienic and economic activities. I also hold a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and Communication. And then I also have a certificate in community-based work with youth and children. When I became a widow, because of the information or the knowledge that I have in community-based work with children and youth, I then thought that it was quite prudent for me to share the information that I had with members in our church and also girls in my school where I work.
When we were in our rural areas where I grew up, up until I was 11, menstruation knowledge wasn't shared even with my real mother. We had to learn it from school, from friends. Then you would just get into menstruation without any knowledge. And because I was so poor, it really made me leave my past sometimes. So I sometimes think of the way I grew up. If you hear people saying, catch them young, it means that when a child has some information when she is still very young, the knowledge or the information will never be forgotten. So I don't forget my past experiences when I was a child, when I was a teenager, when I started menstruating without the required information, without the required materials, should I say. So that really has made me think of young girls, that there are some young girls there who might be in the predicament that I went through, that do not have the knowledge, that do not have the resources. So I am trying to help, even if I help 2 or 3 kids, but of course I have helped about
100 girls through the sales from my book that I have authored. I get some money, and sometimes I do the making of reusable tampons to girls. Something like this. These are some of the ones that we are making. I don't know whether you're seeing them. These are some of the reusable tampons. So I would say my late husband has made me be exposed to many girls who are in real need or dire need of information and also the menstrual products.
Thank you very much for that insightful introduction. And thank you for taking us through some of the issues you've encountered. Sorry about the loss of your husband. Thank you for that introduction. So moving on to our next panelist, Isabelle, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Hi, my name is Isabelle O'Brien. I'm a student at Collège Jean Sauvé, and I have been in French immersion my whole life. The first time I learned about menstruation in school was 5th grade. I remember it being very almost like secretive in our school. Nobody wanted to ask any questions. People were very shy and embarrassed about the topic. And it was different, but I would say the education that I received was enough for me to know that when I got my period, I knew what to do, and I knew what to expect. And our goal in our school is to give better access to students to menstrual products and better education, especially amongst younger kids.
Thank you very much. And Chloe?
My name is Chloe Crockford. I am a grade 10 student at Collège Jean Sauvé, and my pronouns are she, her. And this all started for a project in our French class where we had to write a letter to try and promote change. So we both decided to write to the superintendent of our school division and about the lack of products in schools and the lack of education around periods. And this was a topic I really learned about a year ago when I saw an Instagram video, and I just became very passionate about it, and I wanted to try and promote change. And we've been working together ever since to try and get products into all school bathrooms and improve education around the subject.
Thank you very much. So each of you have talked about some of the issues that we're addressing today. You mentioned the secrecy around menstruation and the lack of education for menstruators, especially for first-time menstruators, and in communities where issues like this are hardly addressed. So as a follow-up to your introduction, I would like to ask, because you've all talked about how you came to do the things that you're doing currently. So I would like to ask if you can maybe tell us a bit about the specific issues that you would like to address or that you're currently addressing with regards to menstrual health challenges. So Laura, would you like to go first?
Yes. Here in Guatemala, we live like with fear. Menstruation is a secret, and it's something dirty. And there are plenty of myths about menstruation, like women can eat lemon, women can play or plant types of plants, we can touch babies, we can ride a bike. Like the most of all, we know that all of this is a lie. So it's a challenge about talking about. In Ser Niña, we believe that learning about menstruation is not exclusive for women. If men can understand that it's a natural process, they can name it and respect it. So we know that all of this, it must be like a challenge for kids and teenagers. In Ser Niña, we have this program, Ser Niño, that we teach men and boys that menstruation is a process that helps girls to know about their health and to know that blood it's a clean blood. And we talk about myths, about these myths and these ideas that are alive. And we work on this topic with respect and with Mayan connection. And also, I think here in Guatemala, accessibility, it's a privilege. Women for poor communities have no access to menstrual products, and a menstrual cup, for example, it's so expensive and it's pretty hard to be found. For example, in Ser Niña, we give fabric pads and soap to clean the pads and underwear, because all these products represent a big help for girls. And our hope here in Guatemala is to teach women how to sew their own fabric pads. And we don't want to use more plastic, but it's a whole process. But I think it's a big challenge for us.
Thank you, Laura. And I certainly agree that boys and girls need to learn about this natural process, not just girls alone. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I think that's really important. So Juliana, the same question, the work that you do, how have you been able to address any of these challenges that you talked about earlier?
Yes, just like Laura has said, it is also taken as a taboo to talk about menstruation. I'm addressing period poverty. First of all, I would like to maybe tell you what period of poverty is. We are looking at a sound well-being of a girl or a young lady who will be in her menses. We look at her physically, socially, mentally, and economically. Are the pads or the tampons available? Do they have clean water if they need any washing? I have a slide on a girl's toilet that I visited at a certain school. But to tell you, at first when I got to the school, I thought it was a disused toilet, but I had been shown by the assistant at the school. I asked, excuse me, can I visit your girl's toilet? And it also has a label of a girl, of girl's toilet. And when I got into the girl's toilet, it was quite a shame that the toilets were not in use. You couldn't, I don't know whether you are able to see this. Will they be able to see it? They won't. There is no water. There is no source of water. It looks like a disused toilet. There are no doors. It means when the girls are in their menses and they would feel like wanting to change their tampons or their pads or their reusable pads or whatever they have, they cannot, because there is no privacy at all. They can't even get in. If they get in, their peers will come in and look and see them changing. And since it is taken as a taboo, people will begin to laugh and tell the others that, yeah, this one is using rags. She's not even using tampons or pads, especially if they are children of mixed economic backgrounds. And also, they don't have clean water. I have talked about knowledge. Most girls do not have the knowledge because parents, I don't know what is happening with our parents, especially in our days when we were girls. Our parents could never ever tell you why your breasts were coming up or why you had some hairs under your armpits, pubic hair to mention, but a few. No moral support, should I say, from our elders until you could get a sister or an aunt, and that could make you feel insecure, because not knowing and getting into the idea of menstruating, this phenomenon of menstruating, you could end up having leakages, and people could laugh at you, not knowing that you do not also have the knowledge. And in menstrual poverty, in Zimbabwe, there are some religious groups who take it really seriously, and they think you are a dirty person. Dirty, just as Laura has said, you are dirty. You cannot prepare food for them. You cannot touch their clothes. You cannot share the same room with men. That means if you are a married woman, you have to sleep on the floor. Get out of the bed because you are unclean. Because of lack of resources, some children or some women end up using rags, should I say, real rags. Unfortunately, I could not show you my slides. I had taken photos of some rags that I saw being put on a tree to dry together with the pants. The girls or the young women do not have enough undergarments. They don't have pads like this one, the reusable pads. They don't have tampons. They use rags. Some even go to the extent of getting cow dung. And I don't really know. I'm yet to ask how really they use the cow dung. They just put it between their legs and let the blood drop onto the cow dung. You see, it's not healthy. How do we know the girl will end up being in good health? The smell from the cow dung, or even the smell from the used rags. So girls end up not going to school because they will not have enough materials, menstrual materials to use. Some even go to the extent of putting on a big plastic and let the blood drop into there, and some use grass, and some even take it, as I have said before, that people take you as unclean. Biblically, for those who believe in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 31, verse 35, there is the story of Leah and Rachel, who were fleeing from their father Laban with their husband Jacob. And when Laban came to look for his idols, because Rachel had stolen them, their husband didn't know. And when the father came to Rachel, Rachel said, "Sorry, Daddy, I cannot stand up because I'm in my period." So it means we are saying biblically, those who are in their menses should be seated. No movement. You have to let your blood fall or be absorbed by something that they don't know. So men are not supportive. They really know that when women are in their menses, they need something to absorb their blood, but they are not supportive in the way of, let's say, providing the required materials. So this menstrual health topic that I'm undertaking, that is under my address, I am trying to help people that period poverty is often ignored at grassroots level. The elders, the leaders in the community, we are trying to tell them that this is only natural. people are not unclean. It is natural. It is a way by which people get into the world. If the ladies don't menstruate, soon afterwards, they can, if they is intercourse, they can then get pregnant. So it's just natural. There is no one who is unclean here. So I would say period of poverty has been caused by Cyclone Idai in our country, COVID-19. Many people have lost their jobs, and there is a poor economic backgrounds caused by drought. So when people get money, they don't think of addressing the menstrual health issue. They are busy buying food and sending children to school, but we will realize that there's a lot of absenteeism among girls because they can't go to school in the first 3 days that they have their menses because of lack of products. Sorry, I'm a bit talkative.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Juliana.
Okay.
So I really like how your response has touched on the complexities involved in period poverty and the interconnections with other issues. So period poverty, from what you've said, which I agree with, is not just lack of access to menstrual products. It is also inadequate information and education about menstruation, both for boys and girls. It is also, from what you've said, from what you see happening in your community, poor sanitation facilities and the social-cultural norms that are also attached to menstruation. So all of this, as you've said, and then we then had COVID-19, which also impacted the issues at hand. So all of these undermine the education of girls, and you've very well articulated that. Thank you very much. Still connected to period poverty. Now I'm going to pass this to Chloe and Isabelle. So I must say that you've done a great job articulating the challenges associated with period poverty. So in this instance, the lack of access to menstrual products in schools. And I must say that I think your dedication to this important issue is very impressive. So I want to give you this opportunity to share your journey with us. How did you get this idea? I know that you had mentioned this briefly, so could you just take us through that process and what exactly you're addressing?
So for our main focus is early destigmatization within our schools and community, eliminating those code words for menstruation or when you're on your period. And we're also hoping to have better access to menstrual products to students in high school and elementary school within the bathrooms. And we're hoping to have sort of like a fundraiser to, be able to get these products that we can provide to students in need.
Thank you, thank you. So with that, I would like to move on to our next topic, which is perceptions and misunderstandings, which Juliana and Laura already talked about based on what they see in their communities in Guatemala and then in Zimbabwe. As we know, menstrual health challenges is not, they are not unique to one region alone. I mean, here we have someone all the way from Africa in Zimbabwe, and then we have someone in Guatemala talking about the experiences which are similar when it comes to menstrual health challenges. So my question now is on how we can move forward. We've talked about the challenges. Now we're looking at social change. So I would like to start with Juliana this time around. So from your experience and from what you've seen, how do you think that we can change this misunderstandings about periods? How do we break down the wrong perceptions that people have about menstruation?
Hello, I'm back again. What we are doing is to get to the grassroots. We get to the villages. We get to schools. We talk, we hold meetings, sometimes with the grassroots people, for example, villagers. We are telling them that this is natural. Be supportive. Women are people. They are not dirty. They are the same as men. If we had no menstruation, then we were not going to have more children on earth, no more people on earth. So we are engaging local heads to ask them, teach their people. Then we are also making reusable pads, as I have shown you, and also training some women and girls in sewing the pads as they the first lady in our country. She was able to teach people how to make reusable pads, and she donated machines to make reusable pads, and they were donated to many people. So I would say that's the activism that we are carrying on. We are also talking to boys in school that when you see someone having some leakages, don't try to laugh at them at all. That's the activism that we are undertaking to end period poverty. And the most serious one is to train girls and women in making reusable pads for use in their communities.
Yeah, thank you. I certainly agree that having this conversation more about menstruation is one way that we can address the misunderstandings and misconceptions about menstruation. So Laura, what are your thoughts about this? What is one way you think that we could, move forward when it comes to addressing these issues that we've raised today?
First of all, we have to keep talking about menstruation. Isabella and Chloe, we have to speak in schools, to speak in families. We have to talk about what is menstruation. We have to fight for free or affordable menstrual products. Now there are many tales, songs, stories. In Ser Niña, we use magazines to inspire girls to talk about menstruation and not to be afraid to say the names as they are, like blood, menstruation, vulvas. And if we keep giving funny names, we won't be able to speak honestly. And maybe talk about how we connect with our menstruation, like with the moon. The moon is cyclical and it has changes. It's beautiful. So here in Guatemala and in Ser Niña, we believe that it's a way to connect girls with the love and menstruation. We have to keep talking about menstruation with kindness and respect.
Thank you. So you mentioned something, Laura, the magazine that you talked about, is it a girls only thing?
No, we have magazines for boys too, and it's the same type, but with different ways to speak about, talk about menstruation, like for boys and girls. And with girls, it's more like connect with menstruation, and with boys, it's more like talk about the myths and talk about respect.
So thank you. Isabelle, so the same question what are your thoughts? For instance, if one of your the issues you are addressing is removing barriers to accessing menstrual products. So how do you think that, how do you envision this?
We're hoping to have better access in like free products within our school bathrooms, in the girls' bathrooms, and also the gender neutral bathrooms at our schools. We're also hoping to educate those younger than us about menstruation and what it really is. A lot of the time in our education, it focuses on, you know, where menstruation comes from, and less so focusing about how it's different for everybody and not everyone has the same experiences throughout menstruation.
Yeah, just by having the products, I think, out there in the open, it will show that it's not something to be embarrassed about. It's not something you have to hide from people. And if you teach that from a young age, then it can create change.
Mm-hmm. We're hoping that having products more out in the open will encourage these kinds of conversations within our community.
Yeah, and affect maybe one day all schools will have these products in the bathroom. That's the goal and the hope.
Thank you, Chloe and Isabelle. So my question has to do with your current activism. How, for instance, with the work that you've done thus far, what have you seen any challenge? Have you experienced any challenge or you know, a limitation to what you're trying to do?
I would say the hardest part about our project is getting it started and getting people motivated in our ideas about having more accessible menstrual products. Our feedback and support has been very positive throughout, and we've received a lot of traction in our work.
Overall, it's been pretty successful so far, but we know there might be challenges along the way, but we're prepared to face them together.
Awesome. That's one way to look at it. Great, thank you. So same question goes to you, Laura. What are the challenges that you've seen with regards to opening up conversations about menstruation?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, so we're talking about this great work you're doing to open up conversations. You mentioned the magazine that you have for boys and girls.
Yeah.
And so the question now is, in this work that you're doing, have you experienced any challenge, any limitation to having this conversations about, for instance, we're looking at, you mentioned having conversations, making them natural so that boys and girls can get to learn the process. So in doing that, have you experienced any challenge? Something that makes you, you know, maybe think and say, oh, maybe there's something else I should be doing, or something that has made you take a pause to say, oh, maybe we're not doing this right. Just something, you know, that you've experienced in the work that you're doing. Yeah.
Maybe with schools, maybe sometimes there are some schools that they don't want to talk about that. Here in Guatemala, it's a big taboo. So maybe there are some schools that says we don't want to talk about any topic that has to like encourage women or something. And it's very difficult for us because we want to share with some kindness, and we want to share with a lot of experience. But if some schools says we don't want to talk about that and we want to keep it like in a secret way, we can't make anything.
Thank you, Lara. That's a great one. So we do have some questions in the chat. I'll be coming back to you, Juliana. So give me 1 second. Let me just pull this up real quick. Okay, so this one goes to Chloe and Isabelle. Can you tell us how your message is reaching other schools and in the community?
I think really just people have seen us and are starting to talk about it more, maybe within schools. I know there is a school that has implemented products into their bathroom now. And yeah.
And throughout our community, we've been interviewed by the Free Press, which is a local newspaper in Winnipeg, as well as La Liberté, which is a French newspaper in Manitoba.
Awesome.
Lots of people have been, talking about it. Family members, even friends have, seen it and contacted me saying that, they're really proud of our work and are interested to see where this is going.
Awesome. Yeah, I read those two, and I must say that I'm very impressed, and keep going. So back to Juliana. We have other questions that I'll look at in a bit. So Juliana, what are the challenges that you see? Maybe one or two that you see in the work that you do.
Yes, one of the challenges is unavailability of menstrual products. Can I share this video that I took when I visited the local shop? This is a girl's toilet. No doors, or some of them are not even in use. No water. So it's actually a block with no doors. There's one door there, and here there's another one. But you can see with a mirror. There was nothing. When I asked the shopkeeper, why don't you have sanitary wear? He said, I once bought them, but nobody came to buy. So I can't just buy something that can be stored in the shop for more than a week or more than a month. So they just buy diapers there. That green thing contains baby diapers, but nothing for ladies. But we do have many ladies in the community. One of the challenges that I have been facing are that society needs to be well informed. That means the elders, even boys in school, the fathers, they also need to be taught or to be told that girls have a time when they are in their menses, and men have to be supportive. So that was one of the challenges, that men are not being supportive since it's secretive and it is taken as a taboo. As I said, some are even asked not to cook. So it's so embarrassing. Suppose you have male children. I was just fortunate enough that I had girls only in my home, including the father. If you have boy children in the family, they will know that mommy is not going to church today because she is in her menses. Mommy is not joining us for prayers just because she is in her menses. Sister is not joining us. She is not doing this. And they will definitely know that mommy is sleeping on the out of her bed. So we need to carry out campaigns among men and everyone. Even it has become acceptable in some societies that even you can even hear ladies supporting the notion that ladies will be dead because it has become part and parcel of their lives.
And
so
yeah, thank you.
Some of the challenges.
Thank you very much. Well said. I agree with that as well. So I know that some of us have other events that we're rushing to. So I just have one question, Laura, just before you go. I know you already talked about this, but maybe there's something else. So this is an opportunity. A question came in here for all of you. As it's Women's Day, could each of you share what type of movement and activities are happening, maybe in your community or in your country, somewhere around you? Laura, I know you have to rush somewhere. So apart from the Women's March, which you told us about at the beginning of this event, is there something else going on around you?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to the march right here in Guatemala in the city. So it's a lot of people, it's a lot of women, girls, teenagers, Mayan people. So we're so excited to be there.
Awesome. So, but one more, I know you have to
Yeah.
rush. So if you could start a movement, something to change about how menstruation is viewed, what would that be?
Oh my God.
So,
May I come in?
well,
May I come in?
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I would call mine SAC, triple AC. Okay, triple AC, meaning Sanitary Aid African Apostolic Church.
Mm,
Yes, because I want to support young ladies and girls in our church so much. As a mother, as I told you that my husband was a bishop of a province, so I would like to support the girls in that manner.
Impressive.
Yes.
Thank you.
So mine is SAC.
I like that.
Yes,
I like
thank you.
that. Yeah, thank you. So Chloe and Isabelle, I know after this event, what are your plans? Are you going back to school? Do you have something interesting, something fun to celebrate today?
We have class, but probably after in the next few days, we'll be trying to get in contact more and really get these products into schools and just keep going.
We hope
Thank
to
you.
have accomplished bringing products into our own school in the next month to celebrate International Women's Day in our school.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Thank you. And I was just going to ask about your next steps and future plans. And I think you've said that. So thank you very much. So we're almost done. Any last words from anyone? Do you have anything you would like to say? Someone you would like to give a shout out to celebrate this day? Any great woman in your life you would like to just honor today? This is an opportunity. Yeah. So I'll start with Chloe and Isabelle. Chloe first. Who would you like to? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
would like to just honor my mom and my sister who have supported me all through this. They are amazing, and all of my friends at school who have been supporting me.
I would like to honor my grandmother who was born today. This is her birthday. She's a very inspiring woman to me. She was a single mother who raised my dad very well. And I just want to honor her memory.
Thank you. And Laura?
I want to honor my mother, my sister, Irene. I want to, I don't know, hug any woman in all the world and respect for all.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Juliana?
I'd like to honor my mother, my daughters, the four of them, my granddaughters, two granddaughters, and my friend Mildred Matanga. I'd like to honor you as well. And also I'd like to honor all women. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of MCIC, I would like to honor all of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the work you're doing to have this conversation to address period poverty. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your effort and we thank you. You've done a wonderful job today, sharing your experiences with us. Thank you. I really appreciate the time you've spent with us today, to our panelists and our participants, our attendees as well. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Happy International Women's Day from all of us at MCIC. Thank you.